Good morning, Washington. It's the 17th. It's the 17th of January 2012. It's 2012. It's 2012. Right here on DCRTV for you all. How you doing, everybody? Yep, it's snack time here on DCRTV. And what's our favorite snack? That's our favorite snack. Greek yogurt. Here, snack time. Well, I don't know if this is fate or what. Kajagoogoo is playing on First Wave. Remember them? The guys with the big hair. The big hair. Big hair radio. How you doing, everybody? Nice. So far, we've had a pretty good winter. No snow, no significant snow of any sort. I better put this back in the fridge. Well, I'll be okay for the next few minutes. I guess it won't rot. Nice winter so far here in the Washington area. No significant snowfall. Not a bad day today. Kind of cool, but not cold. I better turn this off because I'm going to go crazy with that plane. You know what's sad? I keep going back to this. Is the Washington Post. You know, here's the deal. It's now $1. Okay, the Washington Post just recently raised their price to $1 from 75 cents. You know, now honestly, in this day and age, that's not so much for a newspaper. You know, the New York Times is $2.50, and you know, a lot of papers are $1 or more now. But you know, you got to read. You know, you look at this paper here. I'm looking at today's paper, and there are very few ads in it. You know, I mean, there's a spattering of ads, but nothing major. You know, in the A section and 14-page A section, including, you know, back page, no ad or anything. And, you know, you look at the Metro section, and again, you know, back page, no ads. Okay, you know, a couple of post promos in here. Almost very few ads. I mean, this health and science section. Okay, let's see, 2 ads. Okay, there's a few little ads in here from various health groups and stuff, but it's still kind of thin. And then we look at the style section here, and as usual, a giant picture on the front page to disguise the fact that there aren't a lot of ads in here, and there really aren't. I'd say maybe in this whole 8-page section is maybe 1/3 of a page of ads. And then when you look at the sports section today, one tiny little ad here, and that is it. You know, a little tiny ad, not even 1/4 of a page in the whole 6-page sports section. I don't know, man. What do you do? Paul Farhi did a piece today. Where is that thing? Where's that thing? Interesting little piece here. Again, you know, do they really need this giant graphic for this stupid little story? I don't know. He's talking about how the Chinese government is, you know, they run this channel called, or bunch of channels called CCTV. What is it? Central Chinese Television. China Central Television, CCTV. And how they're trying to, you know, literally broadcast propaganda here in America. You know, basically, it's like they come across as kind of a straight news channel. And then they brought, you know, it's kind of like what's missing from it. You know, stuff that's critical of the Chinese government or the Chinese economy or whatever. But anyhow, he's talking about how CCTV is now on the air on 2 channels here in the Washington area. Channel 30, WNVC, runs that megahertz service, and they carry CCTV in English, and they also carry a CC documentary channel that's largely in English. So, you know, plus, you know, you look at megahertz there in Fairfax Falls Church. They also carry 2 channels from Russia, you know, Russian television and Russian television in Espanol. And how... One thing Farhi does mention how CCTV is building up a Washington news bureau, so that's interesting. And Russian television, I think, has a news bureau here too, as does Al Jazeera. So a lot of these foreign broadcasters, you know, are building up news bureaus here in Washington that are geared toward the American audience, providing American English language programming to American audiences. One thing that Paul doesn't mention in this article is how China is also on the radio here, 1190 WCRW, the old wage there with a souped-up transmitter there near Redskins Park, right around the corner from Redskins Park there in Ashburn, is broadcasting, you know, English language Chinese radio. And we also have, of course, that Russian radio, what is it called? Radio Russia there on 1390, the old Weem, now WZHF in Arlington. So interesting stuff there. But, you know, you've got to wonder, one of the quotes in that article was, you know, they don't need a lot of audience just to reach the right amount of people. And nobody, you know, you can't imagine that any of these channels, whether they be the megahertz channels or the radio station or even that little insert that comes China Today there in the Post once a month or so, you've got to wonder, is anybody really reading that? You know, most people probably aren't, but it does reach some of the power players and therefore is deemed worthy. All right, folks, I just thought I'd dredge up a few cool jingly thingies here today. Listen to this.
FM 101 Music Sonos WWDC.
Or how about this?
Johnny Holliday, it's a holiday every morning on WWDC.
Or how about this?
WWDC
Now!
12-6 off.
Or how about this?
WWDC for sun watchers.
So there's a couple WWDC jingles over the years, basically from the late 60s and early 70s, back before it was a rock station. Before it was a rock station, it was a schlock station. All right, folks. So what else is coming up here on the big DCR TV? The big DC news break for today. You know, what are we now down to about 2.5 days and counting till the big WNEW launch. They're on 99.1. We shall see. Politico will now be distributed in New York City. You know, the 37,000 copies of Politico are printed up and distributed in the D.C. area, and another 4,000 will now be distributed in the Washington area. I mean, the New York City area, probably around Midtown and the Wall Street area, to reach the business leaders who are interested in politics. Record ratings for the Ravens, of course. You know, hey, wouldn't it be cool? I think the Super Bowl would be cool this year if it's the Ravens and the Giants. Wouldn't that be cool? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Any other big news? WMAL, yes, says goodbye to Lisa Baden. Lisa Baden joined. Lisa Baden used to be on WTOP for years and years and years and years and years and years doing the traffic, and then WTOP back in January of last year took its traffic in-house. So Lisa they said bye-bye to Lisa because Lisa worked for Metro Traffic, which is an outside provider. So after a couple months not being heard too much on the radio, although she was still heard on Channel 7 doing weather in the morning, WMAL picked her up. So from June up until just last week, we heard Lisa Baden doing the morning traffic on WMAL. So now with this big news that Lisa's going over to the WNEW new news station that CBS is going to launch on Thursday. No more Lisa Baden doing the morning traffic on WMAL. Can't imagine they're happy with that over at WMAL, but you know, CBS and WNEW are big players there, and MAL's kind of a funny little state. What is what I thinking the other day? This is not politically correct. And I don't mean to, you know, I know the word retarded is not a correct thing to say, but my little joke in my own little head was the WMAL morning show, the morning zoo for the mildly mentally retarded. That was my crazy slogan. Shoot me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. It was tasteless. I know it, but you know, sometimes I have tasteless thoughts. So there. So anyhow, we were still hearing some Lisa Baden this morning on WMAL doing some of the lots of voiceovers for ads and stuff, but Lisa is apparently no longer there. You do still hear Jamie Whitten. Jamie Whitten now was doing the morning traffic before Lisa came, and then she continued to do it with Lisa during those past 7 or 8 months, and now she's back doing it again. And, you know, honestly, Jamie Whitten is perfectly good. Why do they even need to double up with Lisa? There was no point in doing that other than just to have Lisa's name there on the morning traffic. And it didn't hurt. It didn't even help WMAL's ratings. In fact, the move to 105.9 still hasn't really helped WMAL's ratings. They still kind of aren't very good. You know, we're combining those numbers for WMAL, FM, and AM every week, and it's like 17th place. And the morning show, you know, it's 12th, 13th, something like that, which isn't awful, but I don't know. You know what they need to do? They need to hire some professionals to do that morning show. All right, folks. I'm sorry. I'm saying too much today. I guess that's about it for today. What's on First Wave? Oh, Erasure. Remember them? Chains of Love.
How can I explain when words get wrong?
All right, folks. That's Dave TV for today, the 17th of January, 2012. Have a great one. So, there.